Hey guys, this is Joel from the Fincastle Pokemon Gym. We're finally on a break from a pretty crazy show schedule, so I thought I would try to catch back up on some content. First things first, what I wanted to get to was over the weekend of April the 5th, which is now a couple weeks ago, I, along with about 35 other YouTube content creators, was invited to compete in a online creators tournament put together by Chef Husky. I've got a link to his channel listed below, and it was a very cool idea. The idea was we all submitted individual Pokemon cards to go onto a wheel for a 4-round tournament, and each round he would spin the wheel, and whichever card it landed on, we were given 15 minutes to build a deck centered around that Pokemon, or that card. It wasn't limited to just Pokemon. After that 15-minute build period, we would match up and play a best 2 out of 3 match with our creations. Then each new round would begin with a new spin, so you'd have to start that all over again. The new 15 minutes to cook up something different and play another 2 out of 3 against somebody else trying to do the same thing. And after 4 rounds, the participants would cut to a top 12, and 10 of those would be by record as determined just using the Limitless TCG website, with another 2 at-large bids based on basically style points and creativity shown during the Swiss rounds with the decks you created. Now the hurdle that I faced is that this was the same weekend as the South Carolina Comic-Con in Greenville, where we always have a vendor's booth. I originally thought there's no way I could do this, but as we brainstormed, we got to the plan to take our amazing sales specialist Audra with us to work so I could play, and to take a TV and broadcast the event on the corner of our booth, which again was an awesome idea. The logistics were not as great, unfortunately. Wireless capabilities at convention centers are usually overwhelmed during large events, so understanding that, we took a mobile hotspot, which was enough to play, but not enough to really run TCG Live and a live stream, which was all conducted over Discord, so connectivity for me was a struggle throughout the entire thing. To add to this handicap, I'm sure I'm old enough to be the father, if not the grandfather in some cases, of everyone participating, and of course I had never once used Discord, so while people were conversing and cooking up ideas, I think maybe together at times in individual rooms, I was posting questions in the wrong place, talking out loud to no one, and probably broadcasting random conversations with people at the con over the stream, because I could never tell if I was connected or not, or even what room I was in. And trying to figure out which Pokemon had been selected each round ate up a good 5 minutes of my time because I couldn't view the stream. Now none of this was anyone's fault but mine. Basically, I just had no idea what the heck I was doing. Despite all of that, I still got it together and competed, and here's what we were presented with by round. Round 1 was Meowscarada EX, Round 2 was Mousehold EX, Round 3 was the Land Collapse, that ancient baby Great Tusk, and Round 4 was the Fire-type Scovillian EX. So I'm going to jump through my list quickly just so you can see what I came up with by round. Now my first round with Meowscarada EX was familiar territory for me, as I've played with that EX a lot, but I had not upgraded it to post-rotation. I did that for this, and in doing so this round, I think I stumbled onto a pretty amazing engine that can be used in a variety of decks. And that is using the Levincia Stadium and Lightning Energy, at least 2. This list I did 3. It basically gives you free use of your Ultra Ball, because you can toss those 2 electrics and then get them right back with Levincia, or vice versa, get them back out and then use them for Ultra Ball. And the same thing for superior energy retrieval. It also makes it easy to use Revavroom as a draw engine. If you don't have an energy in your hand to draw with, you can just get one back with Levincia and then use it to discard for Revavroom. Plus that mix of grass and lightning energy allows for the use of Crispin, which you can use to charge Meowscarada in 1 turn. I think previously these decks have relied on double turbo. I think it's just as effective without it. You get more damage out of it this way, and every little bit of damage in this game helps. I knew that most builds would try to snipe and use the evolution machine, so I had full evolution lines, including the stage 1s, to make it harder for that to accomplish. I'd originally thought about using the A-Spec Grand Tree, but I went with the Pokevital A-Spec. I figured that one-time heal would swing most of these mirror matches in my direction, and my plan worked. I 2-0'd my opponent in the first round, which I felt was mostly due to my experience playing around with Meowscarada EX, but I will definitely come back to this list down the road, because I think this quick recipe is actually really good. I'm not too sure there's too many things in this one I would change, and it is definitely worth exploring as a rogue grass deck. Now on to round 2, which was the Mousehold EX round. This is where my internet struggles really kicked in. I literally spent the first 6 or 7 minutes of build time trying to figure out which Pokemon had been selected. So I went to build this deck in a hurry, and it shows, if you notice one little thing missing from this list, I forgot the dang Hoothoot. And I did not realize it until after the match was complete. In game 1, I was only 2 prizes away before losing that game. And I was like, dang, I was unlucky to prize both Hoothoot. And then in game 2, I thought I'd prize them again. So after losing game 2, I went back to the list and saw that they were not there. And the amazing part is, I almost took both games with no functioning search engine. Again, I think this concept was solid for a Mousehold EX deck. I'm not sure that's anything that's ever going to make an appearance in the format. And I'll get back to the loss later in the video. Then in round 3, we went to the Great Tusk, and I knew that people were just going to build mill decks with it. So I thought I'll just attack with Great Tusk and see if I can roll them. And after playing game 1 of this match, I realized that one card in here would have made a huge difference, and that would have been Latias EX. If I had had free retreat, I could have swept this match. I lost game 1 on just a trapped Brute Bonnet. Then I learned from that in game 2, as I just completely ran over my opponent in that one because I benched nothing but one Koraidon EX and one Great Tusk and charged them both, so whatever was active I could just knock out whatever they had. Game 3 was super close. I had one knockout to take when I was decked out, so I almost won that one and won the match. But again, that was a fun deck and a fun build. It's kind of one of those decks that I would have built for a new player that didn't have a very large pool of cards, something you could put together very cheaply and would still be pretty effective. And you can see I had the poison options in there with Brute Bonnet and the capsules, but never really needed them in this matchup because Great Tusk could just knock out the other Great Tusk. Now, round 4 was definitely my favorite build of the tournament, because Scovillian EX depends on how much damage is on him. He does 70 for each damage counter on him, which is kind of crazy. So I looked quickly at what could damage my Scovillian, and I saw Cinescorch, and it flowed from there. Now this is one of those decks I would have built for my leagues back when we had gym leader challenges, and not that weird thing they do now. You can check out our old blog and you can see what we built before Pokemon Seattle destroyed it. But this totally would have been a fire-type gym leader deck back then, and my build worked exactly like I thought it would. Cinescorch would let you rack up damage very quickly on Scovillian, and then he could just obliterate anything. But I lost this match, and again, I'll address that in a minute. So at 1 and 3, I thought my day was done, but then I was picked for one of the at-large bids because of my builds. So on to round 5, where we played Serena EX. I think this one was on the right track, but needed a game or 2 of playtesting as there was a lot going on in this one. Something wasn't quite right. It was very clunky and hard to get everything out, but the concept was to take them to 3 damage counters away from being knocked out, and poison them and let the stadium finish them off. But I lost that match and my day was finally done. So, how did I lose? In round 2, round 4, and round 5, I played the same variant of Monkey Dory, Dusknoir, and the De-Evolution TM, with the random Pokemon from the wheel thrown in and just not used. And coming into the event, there were not super defined rules, just that you had to have a certain number of the selected Pokemon. I think I stuck to the spirit of what was imagined by the creator of the tournament. I think a lot of the competitors just played the meta because that's what they are immersed in all the time, I guess. I'm also not going to try to hold anybody's feet to the fire on that, but I think most people had their decks pre-made, which I don't have a problem with, but I run a business and did not have time to go through the wheel and make one for everything. I guess those are the advantages of being young and spending most of your day on a stream. but my losses in rounds 2, 4, and 5 were basically to the same deck, and that wasn't as fun as it could have been. There are a lot of ways to fix that in the future, like a short ban list, or maybe only allowing single type decks. Also, I think it would be good in an event like this to cut out the top format Pokemon from the wheel, because nobody just wants to see Dragapult or Charizard or whatever, especially a mirror match. Good lord. But that's a hypothetical that's not up to me. I didn't create the event, I just played in it. And I had great fun doing so. Building decks is my jam. I've got more years experience in doing so than most of the participants have in adulthood. Probably combined in some cases, but what can you say, with age comes experience. I hope I am invited to do this again. If so, I won't play unless I can do so from home, where I can connect properly and hear and see everything that is going on. Again, I love the idea that Chef Husky put together. I think a little tweaking and it could make for some really fun content, and a masterclass on deck building and exploring the format, which is what I and my channel are all about. Thanks so much for watching. Interact with my channel in any way that you'd like. Your support is always appreciated. Until next time, be not afraid.